It's not enough to have a retirement plan. You need a tax smart retirement plan. Today, I show you how. Welcome to Retire Today. I'm your host, Jeremy Keil, and we're here to help you create your dream retirement. Today, we're talking about the third step in the retirement master plan process. I call it KEEP because it's all about keeping more of your hard-earned money. It's the tax planning you need to do as part of your retirement planning to keep more of your hard-earned money. I'm going through that today. I'll also share with you what I call the golden Rule of Roth Conversions. And this is all from my book, Retire Today. Retire Today, create your retirement master plan in 5 simple steps. It's out now, and you can head on over to jeremykeil.com, JEREMYKEIL.com to learn more. Now, in the book Retire Today, I'm going through the 5 steps I take my clients through in creating their retirement master plan so they can live their dream retirement, and share with you all 5 of these steps. So you can go back, listen to step 1, step 2, even step 0. I think there is a step you want to take before you even begin looking at the numbers of your retirement plan. And that's with the most important number that's out there. You can go back to the podcast and YouTube and see all that. We'll have some links as well too. But the third step in your retirement planning process, after the first step, which is figure out how much money that you need to spend or want to spend in retirement. Step 2 is how much money are you going to make in retirement, and try to making more from your lifetime income sources like Social Security, perhaps a pension. But step 3 is trying to keep more of that money. And that's your forward-thinking tax planning when it comes to your retirement. I see a lot of people miss that step. They just kind of think, well, my taxes are 20%, and that's just what it is. Well, you have a lot of control. You probably have more control in retirement than you've ever had control over before in terms of what your tax situation is going to look like, because you get to control 2 big pieces. I'm going to talk about that, where we'll talk about the things you can control, but also Roth conversions, because Roth conversions are typically the number 1 way that you go about controlling your retirement taxes. So when you're in retirement, the 2 big things you get to control is the type of withdrawal you can take out of your investments and the timing of it. I'll talk about timing first. Timing really is all about, I'll give you a simple example of, do you take money out in December or January? That's 2 different tax years. You could be off by 1 week and have 2 totally different tax situations. So pay special attention to your timing of, do I take money out this year? Do I take money out next year? But go beyond that. It's not just the before and after on January 1 of this year versus next year. It's before and after all kinds of different parts of your retirement. It might be the before and after with working. I've got a couple right now I'm working with, and they are retiring. They're going to have one of their biggest tax years ever this year, biggest income years ever, because they're having retirement. They're having like sick leave paid out, and stock options are being cashed in and things like that, where you'd say your normal thought would be, I've got a higher income year. I've got a higher tax year. I don't want any more taxable income, but they're below 65. They're below 65, which means they will most likely go onto the Affordable Care Act for their health insurance until they're 65. And the amount you pay for your health insurance is completely related to your current year taxable income. They're not going to look at last year's taxable income. They're going to look at this year's taxable income and say, how much did you make this year? And so it might feel counterintuitive that this is a working year. You're on your own health insurance from your employer. You got a high tax year. Let's make that even higher, make that income even higher, so that future years will be a lower income, lower tax year. Now, that's their situation because of the Affordable Care Act and the healthcare subsidies that are related to that. You got to look at your own situation. So when you're looking at your own situation, plan out what your income might look like and think of, what type of accounts do I want to take money from? When do I want this timing? It's not just the December versus January. It's the before working and after I stop working. It's the before I turn 65 and after I turn 65 with Medicare. Really, it's even before you turn 63. Because the way it works with Medicare and how much extra you might pay if your income's too high, is they look back 2 years. So the year you turn 63, your income that year might determine how much you're paying in your Medicare at the age of 65. So you got to look at these before and afters, different kind of phases in your life. Before you turn on Social Security, after you turn on Social Security, before you reach 70 and a half with qualified charitable distributions, and afterwards, before you reach 73 with required minimum distributions, and afterwards. And another before and after you really do have to think of is if there's two of you at the beginning of retirement, at one point there's likely to be one of you. And the tax situation for married filing joint with two of you will look different than filing as a single individual. You've got to plan out, how do my tax situations look in this before and after. Now, I encourage you to make use of retirement planning software that accounts for that. That's what we do. But if you're not using that type of level of software that dives deep and projects out the software that we're looking at, if we think you're going to live 35 years in retirement, it's going to project out 35 tax returns, and it's going to look at different things you could do left or right, up and down on your tax situation. And so if you're not using that level of sophistication, just think out, plan out what's my before and after points, retirement, 65, Social Security, things like that, and try to project out what's my before and after on the taxes. Try to find when you can pay lower taxes. Paying taxes in a lower tax year is better than paying taxes in a higher tax year. And it's all about this type and timing. Now let's talk about the types of accounts, because you might have traditional IRAs, you might have Roth IRAs, you might have taxable brokerage accounts, you might have savings accounts, right? These are 4 different types of investments, 4 different types of tax situations. And you want to plan out and not necessarily say, I'm going to take it all from this account first and then that other account. You might be taking some from traditional, some from Roth, some from your brokerage account, some from your savings account each year. And I go through in the book exactly how these taxes work with traditional accounts. Generally speaking, you take money out of traditional IRAs, you're paying taxes that year. The income shows up as taxable that year. Generally speaking, you take money from the Roth IRA, it's tax-free. Generally speaking, with the brokerage account, whether you take the money or not, if there is some sort of gain, if you bought a stock for 10 grand, it's worth 20,000 and you sell it, whether you took the money out or not, that amount of gain when you sell it shows up as taxable that year. And with savings accounts, when you take money out, there's no taxes on taking money out from a savings account at all, unless it's like a traditional IRA savings account. But each year, as you earn interest, there's taxes on there. So you want to learn what are the types of accounts I have and make decisions on the timing of those accounts. Don't just take money from one account because that's where you always took it from. Look through and say, how does taking money from my account this year going to affect my taxes this year? How's it going to affect my taxes down the road? And the number one way that you can intentionally pay taxes in a lower tax year and intentionally build up some tax-free money is Roth conversions. Now, I've discovered there's 3 big myths when it comes to Roth conversions. I'm going to go through those right now. You can see them in more detail. Chapter 8 in the book, talking about the Retirement Master Plan, Step 3. But the number one Roth conversion myth is I can't convert to a Roth when I'm retired. I hear this all the time. I suggest, hey, we're looking at this. We should do a Roth conversion. They say, hold on, Jeremy. I can't do a Roth conversion. I'm retired. I don't have any income. And they're somewhat correct. You can't do a Roth contribution. You can't write out a check to your Roth IRA without any wage income. But you can always do a Roth conversion. You can always take money from traditional IRA, move it over to the Roth IRA. As long as you have money in a traditional account, you can kick it on over to the Roth account. It's not a contribution, it's a conversion. And I can see the confusion because contribution and conversion sound pretty much alike, which is where you get the confusion from, right? Good luck there, right? All those con words on it. But you can do a Roth conversion when you're retired, which brings me to the Roth conversion myth number 2. I can't convert to a Roth because I have this huge traditional IRA. If I convert it all, that's too much in taxes. And you're right about the second part. If you convert it all, that's a large amount of taxes. Doesn't mean you can't do a Roth conversion. A lot of people look at it like, this is my account, I'm converting over the account. No, you're converting over a specific dollar amount or even like a specific share. If you have 1 share of Apple, 1 share of NVIDIA, 1 share of the S&P 500 index fund and you really like it and you want to keep it, you can convert that share over to the Roth IRA. If you go through down to the penny and say, I want to convert $5,000.01, you can convert $5,000.01 right on over from the traditional to the Roth IRA. So it doesn't matter how big your Roth is, how big your traditional IRA is, you can take portions of that and convert it over time. That's a little hint here towards the golden rule of Roth conversions I'm going to share with you. Roth conversion myth number 3 is that, well, Roth conversions are always a good idea, right? If they're good, then more of a Roth IRA must be good. More of a Roth conversion must be good. Well, that's not always the case. I met Rick and Debbie a few years back. I share their story in the book. They were in the bottom of the 24% tax bracket. So we took a look at their tax return. If your advisor is not looking at your tax return when they're making recommendations about Roth IRAs and Roth conversions, I just don't know what they're doing. You've got to take a look at your tax return, project out what this year might look like, project out future years. And so we did that. We saw, okay, you're in the bottom of the 24% tax return, tax bracket. Well, 22% is the one right below it. Then you have the 24%. That's actually a very wide bracket. It's something like 180,000 of income you can put into that 24% tax bracket before you go up to the next tax bracket, which is 32%. Right? So a lot of times you're worried about, I don't want to go to the next tax bracket. Well, 22 to 24, not that big of a jump, but 24 to 32 is a big jump, and it could be worth it. You want to plan it all out. We also want to keep in mind these extra Medicare costs called IRMA I mentioned earlier. And so we saw, okay, you're already up a couple rungs in the Medicare IRMA area, and you're getting these RMDs out every single year, and you're just hitting these higher extra costs from Medicare every year. If we were to do Roth conversions, fill up the 24% tax bracket, it's kind of like you're taking your medicine, right? You gotta put up with it for a few years, but then doing that will decrease your required minimums, and it looks like it'll get you below the 24% bracket. We can kick you down to the 22%, right? You're already in the 24 now. Let's fill it up for 3 years, is what I said to them. Fill it up for 3 years. It's not going to affect your Medicare extra cost terribly too much. You got to kind of put up with it. We know what we're doing here, but we're planning on it for these 3 years. And then afterwards, well, now you're in the 22% tax bracket projected out until the end of time. And you're projected to be in a lower IRMA extra Medicare cost towards the end of time. So I said, hey, this is the way to do it. We're going to fill it out. This is what made sense for them. We're going to plan to convert $180,000 per year. That's 3 years. So over $500,000 converted, but we're spreading it out, right? This is the timing part of it, right? It's the type of withdrawal. We're taking traditional IRA over to the Roth. The timing was 1, 2, 3 years. We're going to do it. And it makes a lot of sense. They're do-it-yourself investors. They come to me for the tax planning piece of it. And so I helped them to do the conversion, $180,000. It was a December, converted over to the Roth IRA. And I said, we'll do this right away in January because that's the timing of it. $180,000 this year, $180,000 next year, which is only 3 weeks away. And then we'll take care of the last one a year down the road. So we did the first one in December. I called them in January, talked to Debbie. It was her account we were converting. I said, it's time to do that second Roth conversion. We can help out just like we did last time. Debbie says to me, well, there's no need. I already took care of the full Roth conversion last year. And I said, what do you mean? We did the $180,000. We're planning on doing it this year. And she said, yeah, I know we did the one, but I figured, how much does it really matter? I'm just going to convert the whole thing, just get it done with, kind of rip the Band-Aid off. It's can't just make that much of a difference, right? It's too late. You can't unconvert a Roth conversion. She thought it didn't matter. She thought it didn't matter this year versus next year and the following year. I'm convinced it didn't matter. And so I thought, I'm just going to do the calculations. Too late. I don't want to, rub her nose in it, right? I don't want to say like, oh, you were wrong, I was right. But I thought, I wonder how much it mattered to them because they had $180,000 of room in the 24% tax bracket. So when they converted $540,000, pushed them past the top of the 24% bracket into the 32, even part of it hit the 35%, tax brackets. So they were paying taxes at 32 and 35% on money I thought they only needed to pay taxes at 24% on. I did the calculations. I believe they paid $23,000 more in taxes because they converted all at once instead of spreading out over 3 years, because they ignored the golden rule of Roth conversions. Now here it is. The golden rule of Roth conversions. You want to choose the right year. You also want to choose the right amount of Roth conversions. So many people think that the idea of a Roth conversion is just yes or no. Do I Roth convert or not? Really, the question is how much of a Roth conversion and when do I do the Roth conversions? That's the way that you go about with the Roth conversions. So as you're planning out retirement, it's not just about how much money do I need in retirement? How much money do I make from Social Security? What's going on with my investments? It's all about, it's including having a tax smart part of your retirement plan, which is when do I pay the taxes? How do my taxes show up? When am I doing these Roth conversions, if it makes any sense at all to do that? If you're looking to get a tax smart retirement plan, you can look at that. You can learn all about that in my book, Retire Today, Create Your Retirement Master Plan in 5 Simple Steps. Head on over to jeremykeil.com to get your copy. Thank you for listening to the Retire Today podcast. We believe if you know more about your money, you will feel better about your money and you will make better money decisions. Hi, I'm Jeremy Keil. If you'd like to learn how my team can help you get more income, pay less in taxes, and avoid big retirement mistakes, head on over to keilfp.com. That's KEILFP.com.